All right, 6:09, let's call this meeting of the Historic Preservation Commission to order for March. Oh. Yeah. All right, so we start with our normal roll call. Kayla?
Here.
Fred, we knew would be gone, as well as Nora. I am present. Dusty?
Here.
Melissa?
Here.
And Patrick?
Here.
Can we get a motion to excuse those pre-approved absences, please?
Move to excuse Fred and Nora.
And a second?
Second.
Thank you. Do we have any revisions to the formal agenda for this evening, Louise?
Not that I know of. I think we're good to go.
All right, can we get a motion to adopt the agenda for the evening?
Move to adopt the agenda.
Second.
Thank you. First, we look at the minutes from our last meeting, which was actually January, since we missed February. Did anyone have any notes on that?
In the O'Connor Fund update, number 4, it says this will bump it today's dollars up to almost 15% in value. I think that should read, this will bump it up to up 15% in value. It's just a few extra words in there.
End of the call to order, we had a move to approve and a second noted, but everyone was present, so I don't think that actually happened for anything. But we just keep it in B for the agenda. In E2, the 5th line for the award to, we're missing the word go live. In the E5, the 4th from last line, Dusty, I believe the acronym for the organization only has one F in it for Friends of Kalamazoo Historic Cemeteries. Yes. So there was 2 there. And similarly in F1, I think SHPO is spelled out as a word when it should be the acronym SHPO, but I think we all know what we're talking about. And then about mid-paragraph still in F1, there's a word of questimate, which I think is just estimate. Delete the QU. And also there's a double negative when we're talking about liability. Sharon was saying it's not something we would not have to worry about, which means it would be something we have to worry about, which would be concerning.
The double negative?
Yes.
Yes.
And then in the last line of F1, it says clear chair of ownership. It should be chain. And those are all my notes. Anyone else? Okay, motion to approve as amended from someone, please.
I move to approve the minutes as amended.
Thank you.
Second.
Great. Moving on to D, public comments for this evening. Pam could not be with us, but she wanted me to read a note that she relayed via email. A reminder that registration is open for the MHPN annual conference, and she, of course, encourages everyone to attend. There's a need for volunteers and also scholarships available. For more information, consult the brochure, page 38, which is available online, mhpn.org. That's pretty much it. Application deadline for volunteering and scholarships is April 12th. And she had no new numbers yet compared to what she had already submitted for last month's meeting that didn't happen. Anything else submitted from the public?
Surprisingly, no, right?
All right. And we have no one joining us this evening, it looks like, physically. Hello to you virtual people if you're out there. Moving on to reports then, financials.
Yes. My favorite report. Okay, so, and I ran this report, I think, I should probably tell us today. I ran this report on Tuesday. We're still not showing any expenses, which I think is a little bit surprising. Two things, though. I think Dan over at KNAC, if you're watching, give me a call. I think we need to get the invoice figured out for the rental of the room over at KNAC for the pre-application meeting. And then it just looks like the food for that meeting still hasn't gone through yet. So there's no expenditures yet. The image beneath that has the yellow highlighting is showing how much money we have pending those expenses. So $1,100, $1,186.75. So as you can all see right there on the screen beautifully. Thank you, Heather. Any questions about that?
Seeing none, we shall move on to the O'Connor Fund report, E2.
Okay. Pam's not here to go over it this time. Kyle, would you like to go over it?
Yeah, I mean, everybody can read, but the updates from previous were that the community foundation was meeting with the city attorney. I don't know if that happened. It looks like it was in February. If you have any information on that, but
No, still no information on that. Working with both parties to make sure we can set up a meeting to talk further about that. The reason that we need to have a meeting between the two parties, so the city attorney, the city, and the Kalamazoo Community Foundation, KZCF, is to go over some of the, fund structural changes that we talked about in the past, where we were going to be having field of interest fund set up as well, which means that the Kalamazoo Community Foundation could directly disperse grants, and they wouldn't need to pass through the city anymore, which would alleviate some of the red tape that we had. So that's what the addendum and the letter of direction, the LOD, is that Pam is referring to in goal 1B. Had some hiccups, but we're working through it now. Like Pam says, or I just use her numbers now, so I don't think that we have any new numbers yet to discuss. I guess to piggyback off of that, you guys, we haven't met. Not anything you guys have done. We have not met since the 19th of February when we had the pre-application meeting, or the 20th of February. I can't remember exactly. Probably the 20th. I think that went very well. Probably about 35 folks showed up. Walked them through what we want to see in the applications. Have not had any applications come in yet. A couple of folks that couldn't make it to the meeting also reached out. I had a meeting with some people, to pretty much run them down on the same thing if they weren't able to attend. It's about the same attendance as last year, I'd say, around 35 to 40, which is good. I mean, we'd always like to see growth, but we're just happy to have people come out to the meeting, right? So, yeah, it went well, I think. Hopefully we'll continue to grow that a little bit.
How many applications were there last year? You can ballpark it. I'm just kind of curious how,
Under
if we
10.
had, so about a third of the people that came to the meeting
it wasn't all from attendees, but yeah.
Most likely was all from attendees, I think. But yeah, it's not a bad return rate if you think about it.
Yeah.
Could always be better, but
Thank you for ending that again. Anyone have questions on the O'Connor Fund report this month?
I was just curious, for the mini grants, we only have 2 applications, is that correct?
no applications.
No, okay, thank you.
Last year, or?
I guess I need to understand the question. There are no applications in at this time for mini grants.
Okay, I had spoken to the Friends of, and I was wondering if they'd applied yet. That's
No,
all.
nope, not yet.
All right, that brings us to the Historic Preservation Month update as submitted by Nora.
Sorry about the blank. Thought I got rid of it. Nora gave us a nice report with done and red highlighted white bold text. Shows finality. So worked with the communications team to put out the call for reports. Perhaps folks have seen, the call for nominations. Perhaps folks have seen it. I know that we put it out on,
There's an email
up-
blast.
so there's an email blast that we put out, and that was mostly for folks that were on a list that Sharon had in my computer before, like a invitation list.
Oh,
We
I just saw
also
the
reached-
official city one.
Oh, well, there's that one too then. And we reached out directly to folks who have applied in the past. So we were trying to cast a little bit of a wider net this year. We also, I think, put out just like a press release. I saw that that got picked up by WKZO, maybe. One of the local news outlets picked it up. So don't quote me that it was WKZO if it wasn't. And I don't know if Neil put it on anything else online. So we got the word out there. Kind of stripped it down a little bit this year to make it so we had a lot of different categories you could apply in last year, and we kind of stripped it down just to do buildings and individuals or institutions, I guess, this year. There's still subcategories in both of those to give it some nuance and refinement, but just hopefully to make it a little bit easier on applicants. So I think that we're on course. Applications are due on the last day of this month. Sharon said that she would speak, so
Yep. And Melissa made a pretty cool mock-up for our awards.
very good.
I do see that on Facebook. The city of Kalamazoo has blasted it there too.
Okay,
So,
awesome,
as of a couple days ago.
awesome. They got the word out.
And for the rest of the commission, the judging rubric that she notes is a link if you want to look at those criteria we're going to use to look at the applications, and then keep those in mind when we present and decide on that for April's meeting.
We have a date for the ceremony, right? I just don't see it on here.
We probably do, but I can't recall. I want to say the 29th of May is sticking out in my head right now, but
27th is that Wednesday, is what we had floated. I don't know if we confirmed that with KNAC yet.
I'll confirm that with KNAC.
Pretty sure I mentioned that in the email to Sharon, so, but
Yeah,
I
yep.
told her we were flexible on it.
Yeah, I think May 27th is the date that was confirmed with Sharon for her availability.
So yes, feel free to spread the word yourselves to any interested parties for more nominations. Anything else on this one?
I don't think so. Sorry if I'm not doing it justice, committee members, but I think that that pretty much wraps it up. Like you said before, Kyle, folks can read through it, and if there's any questions, feel free to reach out.
Exactly. That brings us to E4 then, Historic Tours Report. Dusty or Melissa, you want to touch on this?
Yeah, I can talk about it. So we came to some exciting decisions for our tour subjects. So as previously stated, we are doing 2 tours. One is going to be of Mountain Home Cemetery, and the other one is going to be National Register of Historic Places throughout the city of Kalamazoo. So it's kind of a broader term that we can kind of pull from, but then have that greater connection to like, hey, what's significant about this house? Here's all the history, but also it's on the National Register. What's the National Register? Here's a bunch of information about that. So kind of a cool way to link those together with not only educating about history, but also looping it into the National Register. So we met, I think, last week or the week before, and we kind of solidified our list of what stops on the tour we're going to have. Currently, we have 14 for Mountain Home Cemetery, but that is because they're more focused on markers in the cemetery, how to identify them, kind of connecting it to the work that we were doing last year with the booklet, kind of making it a tour with those. And then we currently have 5 stops on the tour for the National Register of Historic Places that I can definitely share with the group. And then we have decided to not hire outside contractors since a lot of the work for the cemetery has already been done, leaning on Dusty a lot for that with her extensive knowledge. And then we think that it would be very doable to do the 5 entries from the National Register of Historic Places. It's a much smaller tour, more compact. We'd definitely be able to get that done with amongst ourselves. And that would also save budget, making it easier to have more of a profit for the O'Connor Fund.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right, any questions on that report? If not, that brings us to F, our discussion and action items. Luis, it's time for elections, correct?
It is. It's really a frustrating software that keeps putting in these blank agenda reports. So I apologize about that because I don't have anything written here. But yes, it is time for the election of people for officers. It's been a while since we've done this, right? So we'll just do some housekeeping right up front just so we can all remember. If you guys are all okay with it, we're not going to do like written ballots and we're not going to do secret heads down, hands up ballots unless you guys want to do that. And let me know now if you guys want to do that. Resounding no. Just makes it all a little bit easier if we don't, but I'm not trying to force anyone's hand, so if anyone wants to do that. So the way that it'll go is we'll get nominations. This is my, albeit not perfect, understanding of the process. We'll get nominations from people, so people will nominate, like I nominate, and I'm just saying this because Kyle's chair right now, so I'm just going to use you as an example, Kyle. I apologize. I nominate Kyle for chair, and then someone could say second, and then you'd be nominated unless you decline that nomination. And then we would need a nomination for vice chair, so someone would nominate someone for vice chair, and then they'd be a second. Then we would do votes on those unless you guys were the sole nominees for each of those roles. Then we would just move forward in that capacity. Does that make sense? Okay. Other housekeeping notes. Unfortunately, today was Fred's last meeting and Melissa's last meeting. So Fred has served his 2 full terms, and then Melissa filled the partial term. I don't know exactly when it started. So I would advise folks not to nominate them because they won't be here at the next meeting, okay? Sorry, Fred, that if you're watching at home, you couldn't be here today. We'll talk about that at the end as well. He was not feeling well, and I told him not to come. It's not worth it to push yourself through to come to an HPC meeting. There, I said it. So, are there questions about this process?
My only question is, our 2 officers right now, are they able to reserve?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I don't know what kind of limits we have time-wise on those.
I don't think we have any limits.
Okay.
For officer positions.
Yes, for officer positions. Term limits are 6 years with 3 years in between serving for term limits on the HPC. If you could serve 6 years, and then you'd have to wait 3 years, and then you could serve another 6 years potentially, and then you'd have to wait 3 years. Then you're just playing a game of how long can you go, right? 6 years, well, and 9 years a pop. So
we'll be down to 5 people.
Yep, that's why it's very important to get calls out for other people for nominations as well. So we did it recently too. Since you brought it up, I think it's a great topic. We need folks, right? People do apply for this one, so I'll go back. People apply for this one more than they do HDC. I'll go back and see and look at our kind of file of folks that have applied in the past to see if they still want to come and fill the roles. I think, though, they also need to live. I guess we can have one more person that does not live in the city serving now, since you'll be terming off. So that opens up one more door for us for people that live outside of the city proper. Yes, we will be at quorum.
And we can have up to 8, is it?
6 or 7, excuse me.
Oh, okay.
The floor is open for nominations. Everyone, get the jitters out, right? No, it's.
I nominate Patrick for chair.
Is there a second?
I second.
Do you accept the nomination?
Yeah, I'll accept the nomination.
You get to switch chairs, hit the gavel, all that fun stuff. Okay. Any other nominations for chair? Okay, shall we move on to nominations for vice chair?
I've been vice chair for a while. It's not a bad gig.
I would gladly swap for my timing out period.
Sure, I'll nominate Kyle for vice chair.
Okay, is there a second for the nomination?
I will second.
Okay. Do you accept the nomination?
I do.
Okay, as you are running unopposed, I do not see a need for us to vote you in, so I'll double check the rules, but this is my understanding of the rules. I looked at them while prepping the packet. So Patrick, starting next meeting, you will be the chair, and Kyle, you will be the vice chair. You guys will do the old switcheroo with the seats there. Flip-flop or whatever. And then you'll get to hit the gavel. But if Patrick's not here, Kyle, you have to step right back in and run the meeting. All righty. Those are the only 2 officers that we have for this, which, sweet. Thank you, guys. Painless.
Are there any other action or discussion items?
Not that I can think of. I hope there's not that I'm missing.
I have one that's vaguely related. Next month, it will be hard for me to be here, but if I'm not here, then there's not a quorum. Is that correct?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. All right. I'll see what I can finagle.
Okay.
And let us know if we have to try to reschedule.
Yeah, we'll be in touch.
Okay. Yeah, we're in Tech Week that week for the
Okay.
show we're working on. So it's hard to be out that week unless we can change the date, which doesn't make everybody happy. But
We can talk.
okay.
So,
That week is just hard. I can make other dates work.
okay. We'll discuss.
I have a question kind of following up on that. So the number 5 for quorum, is that normal, or is that something we want to be looking into, do 4 or?
We need to go to 4. I need to dig back up because at one point Catherine made a motion to have the city attorney look at changing the bylaws to get it to 4. But I don't think that's going to be a 1-month change. But I
Right.
will resurface it. I'll pull the motion back out and I'll send that over to the city attorney because you're right. It's very awkward. I'm guessing they did this for a reason, but I cannot think of what godly reason they would have chosen 5 for because that's more than a majority.
Isn't it just so it's an odd number?
I guess it probably is, but most times 4 is the quorum for these.
For other boards and
For
commissions?
HDC, quorum is 4.
Oh.
But then it makes it so you need a unanimous vote, which is 4 if you just have quorum, which makes it very scary sometimes. If you're voting on something and you all have an even number of people, well, I guess that doesn't matter because if even one person votes no, then your project's tanked. But so yes, that probably is the reason, Kyle, so we can have an odd number. Thank you, Kayla. I will bring it up. And I'll look into other dates. Dusty. Anything else here before I get into my report?
Take it away.
Woohoo. Well, I want to thank Melissa because you're here, so thank you for serving with the commission. Appreciate it. Appreciate the service to the commission, and same to you, Fred, if you're out there watching at home. I will make sure to communicate with Fred that he will not be on anymore. It is always a sad time for us, and with heavy hearts that we send you off to go do other things now. So we truly do appreciate the service and all the work that you've done for the commission. If other people know other people who would like to join this commission, and one of them is someone who does not live inside the city, or they are people that live inside the city, be happy to refer them to us. They can apply online through the Boards and Commissions portal on the City of Kalamazoo's website, or they can just reach right out to me if they have any questions, so we can get them to the appropriate website so they can apply. Always looking for new members. It's just a rolling enrollment basis for us with both of my boards. So if people are also interested in serving for the Historic District Commission, they must live within the City of Kalamazoo. But again, if you know folks, you guys are the historic web here, as it were, in Kalamazoo, so reach out to your networks. My report, so 2 really big things. I'm going to start with the one that's a little bit more immediate. So we have one more Imagine Kalamazoo Design It meeting that's being held tomorrow. I've seen one person at the meetings. Kyle, you were at one of the meetings. So the Burke Acres meeting is tomorrow. Burke Acres is the most northeastern part of the city. Feel free to come out. I think I'm always going to try to invite people, even if you missed your neighborhood or whatever. It's just a great activity, I think, to come out and do. So this is our last one of this phase. I mean, we're also going to have a downtown one, I think, and a western one, but these are the last ones that are scheduled on the website. I put the link in the report. If you have any questions about anything, again, feel free to reach out to me out of a meeting and we can discuss it for sure. The less time-sensitive news is that I received the final deliverables for the reconnaissance level survey of the Northside, Oakwood, Southside, and Douglas neighborhoods, and it was a lot of paper. So I think I forgot that they were going to bring them to me in physical form, and they did. This doesn't make it sound impressive, but it was impressive. It was like a little wagon, and it was full of binders. It was probably like 3 foot tall by 2 foot wide. The wagon was probably sitting a foot off the ground, but it was a lot of paper. The binders are huge. So some of those binders are like that big. I don't mean to throw shit under the bus, but then I reached out and I was like, hey, we got the reports for you guys. And they're like, we don't know what you're talking about, because I thought we were going to give them to them. So I think I'm just stuck with them. So if people want to read the physical versions, you certainly can, but I also have digital versions of them. Everything together is about 20 gigs, but if you guys want just like what do they call those? I can share the file with you through Microsoft's OneDrive, whatever, to make it a little bit easier. Or if you just want one of them, let me know. Really informative narrative histories of all those neighborhoods, and then architectural inventory sheets of all the properties in each of those neighborhoods, just like we did in Edison for 2018. So this is a great project. This concludes this phase of the Inventory Kalamazoo project that Sharon initiated in 2018 as well. So we've gotten Edison done, Northside done, Oakwood done, Southside, and Douglas done, for a grand total of probably like 6,000 properties that have been surveyed. So it's that's a lot, I think. It's worth reflecting on, and these are neighborhoods that have not been surveyed in quite some time, right? And I think that these were neighborhoods that were historically kind of excluded from historic preservation reconnaissance level work. So that's a big deal to me. And they're really fun. You guys are all history nerds too, so if you ever want to look at stuff, I think, to me, the most interesting thing that we got this time was they submitted all of the sources that they used as well. So there's a lot of fun newspaper clippings and pictures with these reports. Just reach out. More than happy to share them with folks. It's fun reading. It's not short reading, but it is fun reading. So that is kind of all that I have. Again, thank you guys for your service on the board and hanging out with us for the amount of time that you did. And we will continue to seek new members and to bring down the number. This has been brought up before that we have an unusually high number for quorum for this board. So that is all that I have.
I have 2 questions.
Yes.
One of them is about the membership. So with Melissa and Fred stepping down, how does that affect the subcommittees?
What do you mean? Be more specific.
I don't have the capacity to be in charge of two committees. I'm assuming Melissa can still hold on as being the head of the TOR committee, is that correct?
I can let Melissa answer that one.
Yeah, I was gonna add on afterwards, but
I'm sorry.
I do, no, you're totally good. Fully intend on staying on as like doing my subcommittee work. I'm not dropping everything. You guys are stuck with me at least for the rest of the year.
Okay.
So yeah, no, definitely still have the time and the availability and the interest in helping out with those as well.
Sweet.
I wasn't sure how that worked, so thank you for clarifying that that's going to be cool.
Yep.
My other comment is based on some of the buzz I saw on social media. Harvey's is gone. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I do know that some of the historical items in there were salvaged.
Okay.
There was some discussion about why didn't our committee say anything? Like, how could we let that happen? I was kind of curious if we could clarify how the decisions are made.
So I think that we really need to be very careful when we're
Okay.
going.
I didn't say anything on social
No.
media. I just,
I can't control what you say as a private citizen either, but I would consider these things first, right? So that building was not designated in any capacity in a historic way. So we see this kind of chatter a lot online where people are like, that's historic, and we can use historic as an adjective, and then we can use it in the terms of historic preservation. And the building might have been old. I have no clue how old the building is, but I have no professional purview over that building because it was not locally designated, would be what I would say. People that are asking, how could we let that happen? Because we were acting within our legal bounds, and this board also would not be the board that says anything truly about the demolition of a structure. It would be the HDC, if it was located in a local historic district, would be the one that reviews the demolition of the structure. So you can say, like, throw that back at them next time if they say anything. But I think that we often see fervor like this around buildings. And I don't mean to sound like a bad preservationist when I say this, but this is why we've had designations that are long-standing designations. This is why we get in trouble when we try to save buildings from the wrecking ball by coming in to make a district, because that's not right. I can confidently say that is not right. You do not come in when you see that a building is ready to be demolished and say, we want to make a district now. That's wrong to do. The community that did not have the buy-in to do it and the foresight a long time ago, we don't get to use historic preservation as a means of stopping someone from doing something with the property. Now, if we decided, and I don't mean that to say like there's an arbitrary number in it. This year we decided everything was important, but we've had foresight with things like South Street, right? So we went through South Street in the 70s. So that's one of the first historic districts that we made local districts, and they were like, we're going to make this a local district. There's this new law that says we can make decisions regarding the exterior of historic properties, and they did that like at the drop of the hat. The second the ordinance came out, was created, they did that, right? So we see there's a long-standing tradition then with certain structures. I only say that because sometimes I think people want to use it, and I'm not saying that was the situation here, but that becomes my initial very visceral, knee-jerk reaction when people say, how come nothing was done? And it's like, I will never lead this commission down the path of saying, oh, a building is about to be demolished. We should work really hard right now to make it a local historic district, because that only fosters bad will, truly. It's a bad game to play. Hopefully that answers that one.
it does, and I wasn't aware
Okay.
of the lack of designations. That does, yeah, thank you for
Yeah.
addressing that.
Yeah.
Have there been any updates on the water tower?
No. So I can reach back out to SHPO again. I think that they'll reach out to me when they hear anything as well, but there's not been any rumblings. Just one more clarification. So thank you, Melissa, for clarifying that you'll stay on. Very kind of you to do some of the subcommittee work. I need to double check the bylaws as well. So HDC has bylaws that says like people are allowed to stay on until their replacements are found. It's probably the case for this one too, but I need to look them up. So in that case, potentially then Fred could stay on like next month because his replacement has not been found, or you could. It's your prerogative completely. So I'm not trying to put you in a position where I'm saying like, you better do it, But that is the condition of the bylaws for the HDC, for example, and we've been using that for a while to make sure that we can have people stay on until we find replacements. HDC is way trickier to find replacements for, so we've been kind of in a holding pattern for a while.
Does that include voting rights?
Oh yeah, you are
Okay,
allowed to
so-
stay on as a full member until
Okay.
your replacement. And I take that very literally. So, I mean, I don't use that to game the system or anything, but it would be like if we had another member, I think that you could say, okay, that's still not Fred's replacement. If there was a vacancy, they would be filling that vacancy, and then Fred's replacement would still be pending. Whatever situation that looks like, right? So we can certainly reach out and ask. I don't want us to get into a position, and I don't mean this in a bad way, so I'm not trying to cast aspersions, but I don't want us to feel like, oh man, I can't miss any meetings either. So we will work it out. I don't want people to be worried about that. We will find a way to move forward, so no worries. Any other questions from folks? So we continue to get into closer to MHPN stuff. I probably next month will bring forward again, it always slips in my mind, re-registration for this commission as members of the commission, so then you guys can apply at a reduced rate. Speakers get a very reduced rate for going to the conference. And if you are volunteering, you get a reduced rate as well. It is closer this year than it was last year. It's in Grosse Pointe Shores, I think. I say with a question mark. There's a lot of Grosse Pointe something, X. I think this one's in Shores. So it's a lot closer than Mackinac, right? That's not as bad of a drive at all. There's going to be some great sessions. Kayla and I are doing one together. Pam and I are doing one together. Kayla, I don't know if you're doing another one.
Just the one.
Okay, very good, just the one. So I always really enjoy the conference. It'd be time to start thinking about it now. If you guys can look at your calendars and think like, hey, do we have the opportunity to go or not? Sessions are great, seeing folks are great, understanding that we do not have unique siloed issues in historic preservation in the community, I think is also very refreshing to know that there's a bunch of other counties and a bunch of other cities across the entire state that are going through this as well. Helps to retain some level of sanity, so keep that in mind as well. That's all that I have today.
All right, any commissioner comments for this evening that we haven't already covered?
I'll add another thing. I just want to say thank you guys for this opportunity. It's been really great being able to serve, and I look forward to carrying out the rest of the work for the rest of the year, but just really grateful, and I'll be around.
Glad to have you while we did. All right, well, this is a quick meeting. Adjourn at 6:46. Thank you all.